The Buzz with Jess Lujan.
Good evening, Guam. Welcome to The Buzz. Very interesting and exciting edition tonight of The Buzz. I have Linda Tatro and also Joni Kerr, the No Tooth Vegeta culvert. Good evening, ladies. How you doing?
Oh, good evening. Doing great. Thanks,
You've had actually a busy few weeks, most especially starting since a couple of weeks ago. And then Friday, you had a protest down at in front of the governor's office.
It's been very crazy. Yeah. Better than my wildest dreams. Everything is turning out really good, but it has been crazy for somebody who considers them to be a teacher, not an activist. But on this issue, I did have to jump up and take some action, and things are looking really good on the culvert right now.
Looking good in the sense that it's probably not going to happen, right?
It looks like it will not happen.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, let's go back to this culvert thing, because there's again no mistaking the fact that there is a problem down there, and it has been, and over the years, I guess, been gone unattended, unmaintained. Maybe regulations haven't been strictly enforced or stricter enforced to maybe some of the business owners down there. It's to be seen. But we know there's a problem down there, and understanding that they were trying to solve this. But in their solution, you said basically the problem that we have right now, correct me if I'm mistaken, the problem we have right now, the flooding that we have and the way it dissipates into the ocean is better than their proposed solution.
That's absolutely true. Doing nothing right now is better than building the culvert. Back before development, when it would rain on the hills above Tumon, that water would start washing down the hill, and it would go into the limestone, and that water would get filtered through the limestone and slowly seep out into the bay. And then as we built more and more stores and houses and apartments and hotels and shops, the area has continued to get paved over, get covered with concrete, and that's not porous, and so the water has to flow over it. There have been drainage systems put in, but they haven't been maintained. So this water now flows down to the lowest point, which is the area around Sandcastle, Dusitani, Underwater World, and Outrigger, and pools there. And there's flooding, pretty good flooding several times a year. The plan for the culvert would rework the drainage, so the area from Kmart all the way to the west, and that whole area would drain down to the Fujita Ponding Basin. The Fujita Ponding Basin would be expanded slightly, and then anytime it overflowed, it would go into the culvert and directly out into the bay. And all of that water that's coming down is washing the concrete, it's washing the asphalt, it's bringing down all the pollutants that are there, all the stuff that comes from the cars, fertilizers, pesticides, sewage when the sewer system overflows, all this stuff not filtered, going into the ponding basin, overflowing into the culvert, and directly out into the bay.
Now a few months ago, there was a problem prior to, or maybe just at the opening of one of the newer hotels. There was a flooding. Of course, that rain. We had a lot of rain, and there was this flooding, and it was said that the water was illegally pumped out to the ocean. It was then supposedly looked into, researched, and again explored whether or not that happened or not. And supposedly they did the right things, and the water was diverted supposedly into a drainage facility, but because of the clogging, I guess you say, the lack of maintenance, that's what caused the backup of that. I mean, what do you know of that, Joey?
Well, okay, so you're referring to the Dusitani
yeah, I don't know if it's the Dusit itself, but that vicinity right there.
So it was in their back parking lot, and they were caught on camera pumping the flood water, the storm water that had collected in their parking lot. It looked as if it was being pumped out of the parking lot and was making sort of a little rivulet down into the bay, directly down into the bay. And you could see that rivulet of storm water because it was really strikingly brown against the white sand. And so that video went viral. So EPA was called in, but I think by the time that EPA was or got to the site, the hose was put away and all that, and so it remained EPA's problem or job to figure out exactly what had happened. So articles came out later, and according to Eric Palacios, the director of EPA, the Disitani followed their emergency stormwater plan, as I think he said approved by EPA, and they had put it into what could have been an injection well or something like that. However, he said that that water leaked through, unfortunately, out into onto the beach and got into the bay. So that was, you know, the last we'd heard of it, and he kind of praised the Disitani for being one of those hotels that was kind of proactive about getting their, you know, taking care of their stormwater.
Now, again, prior to any of the facility being built, now as part of again, prior to getting approved for all this, I mean, now wouldn't these facilities down there, knowing that water will go to, again, find its way to the lowest point, Tumon being that, and even themselves, they would cause some kind of flooding at some point. Now wouldn't the individual business owners down there have to have some kind of catchment, again, for situations such as this?
They are supposed to have a plan to deal with their own floodwater. What's going on right now, I don't know, but the systems in that area are totally blocked up. This incident that we call it the Disitani incident that Joni was just describing, that brown water that went out into the bay right there at the Fujita area, the Disitani area. We have photographs, and I hope you can show them to your viewers.
Yeah, we have
now.
it, and I get the production people to show it as we speak.
Because those photos were taken, well, the photo of the drainage happened the day of, but 3 days later, those other photos were taken. So 3 days later, you have all this brown water right where everybody likes to play, barbecue, locals and tourists alike. There's another photo that shows what it looks like underwater. And then there's a photo about 3/4 of the way out to the reef margin, corals that are dying on the spot from that input of filthy fresh water. And they're not just dying slowly like corals normally die when they're under stress, they lose their algae and they slowly turn white. These weren't doing that. These were just completely sloughing off their tissue and dying very rapidly. And this is a very good indication of what will happen if we have the culvert and we have this overflow directly into the bay.
But let me ask you this as well, because where the culvert is at and the situation that's over there, this culvert again that was proposed, this culvert wouldn't have taken care of that problem, right?
Well, when the ponding basin overflows, that's where it goes. Because they're a little lower. So having a runoff area, the culvert, will divert it into the bay before it floods their area.
So earlier you said that doing nothing as it is right now is better than the culvert. So how long, at the rate that the floodwaters will go into the bay there, what is the rate of dissipation from there versus, again, a gush which the culvert will cause, right?
If you understand the question, Joni, you
I think I do. So what you're asking is how long would it take?
Yeah, because you said doing nothing now is better than a big gush.
Well, the thing about having the that versus the culvert is that if you just let it drain down naturally into the limestone actually takes care of filtering that water. And over time, that's going to, it goes away. Now we're talking about an inconvenience during a flood situation, an inconvenience of several hours. You know, people going through the floodwaters, yes, we know that, and that's not a good thing. It's probably not healthy either. However, there's that little bit of inconvenience there for several hours as the floodwaters or the storm water percolates down into the ground. That's going to happen without the culvert. With the culvert, you're not going to get that. You're going to get that directly into the bay with, you know, with a with at least a half inch of rainfall in the area.
Yeah. We got to take a quick break. We'll come back, talk more about this proposed culvert. Be right back.